Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing Latina makeup. It's trending all over TikTok. I don't know if I'm late to this trend, but I love Latina makeup. I think it's so gorgeous. It's so distinct. It's basically like a full glam, but also doll style makeup. I don't know how to explain it. It's completely matte. It's eyebrows on fleek like it was in the 2015 era. You know, that Instagram era when Kylie Jenner blew up, that type of makeup with thick, luscious lashes, winged liner, highlighter, contour, bronzer. I'm gonna be trying it on my Asian skin and I'm gonna see how it turns out. I've never done it before, but here we go. And while I do that makeup, I want to talk about all the lessons that I have learned this far dating in my 20s. And I think there's a lot of things that I have learned on my own and might seem like plain and simple common sense. I had to learn most of these the hard way. I feel like nobody talks about them really. And if anybody were to talk about them, it's probably like your parents or the older generation that tells you these kinds of things about dating and you're just like, oh, whatever, and you brush it off. I have collected my favorite pieces of wisdom to share with you guys. These are things I would have really liked to have known when I was starting out dating. I think I started dating when I was around 19, 20, when I got into university and I was kind of experiencing my freedom for the first time, meeting a lot of new people, putting myself out there a little bit more. And there are a lot of things that I wish I had known. First, obviously, is that age does not mean mature. I know there's a common saying that women like to date older men because they're more mature, because they have more experience in life, because they have had more relationship experience, because they have grown out of that rebellious playboy wanting to mess around with women, wanting to play games, wanting to be immature type of lifestyle. And I will tell you guys straight up, that is completely not true. Most of the older men that I have encountered in my life, not just through dating, but just in general, like at work, just in life, you know, they might be quite a bit older, but they don't feel older. They don't feel more mature. They don't make conversation the way, you know, it's not like when I was young, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but I always thought that even 1 year age difference made a huge difference in the way you interact with people, in the way that you have developed, in the way you see things in life. And so when I was a kid, I was always scared of anyone who was not my year. And anyone who is even a year older to, you know, multiple years older, up to 10 years older, I would see them as completely different people with different mindsets, with different perspectives on life, with more experience, with, you know, a completely different view of life. And that's just, let me tell you, first and foremost, especially in the dating world, when you're in your 20s as a young girl, young woman who's starting to navigate her way through life and figure out her career and school and friends and their own personality interests, their own values, who they want to be, just figuring themselves out at this age, right? They assume that guys who are older are more mature than guys their age. I'm just gonna tell you right now that is not true. And I know a lot of women, including me, are very against dating men who are younger than them because this whole thing with age, people think that age is a huge deal breaker, is a huge game changer, you know, like dating someone younger than you or dating someone older than you is just gonna completely change things because being older means you're more wise, being older means you're more mature, being older means you have more ability to provide, have more of a provider mindset, or they're ready to settle down. But no, let me tell you right now, that is not the case. A lot of older men, the reason why they're still single and the reason why they're even interested in dating girls who are so much younger, it's probably not a good reason. And those are things you need to be cautious of. Those are things you need to look out for, not something that is like automatically a bonus or a plus. And yeah, I think when I was younger, I was one of those people that thought dating someone older would automatically mean good things. More willing to be serious, more willing to take you seriously, have that like provider mindset, have that experience and wisdom to know how women like to be treated and those things. But that's just not the case. So that's the first thing I wanted to bring up. Age does not equal maturity. Number 2, this one really stood out to me because ever since I was young, I always had this standard that I had for, guys that I liked, guys that I would consider dating, which was that they had to be intelligent, they had to be smart, they had to have some sort of intelligence. How do I explain that? Like, they're good at school, they're good at studying, they are hardworking, and they have a lot of knowledge in a certain aspect or field. That doesn't necessarily have to mean academic intelligence. There's all kinds of intelligence that you see around, like they're good with people. That to me is like a type of intelligence. They are good at a certain subject, sport, not so much sport, but you can tell they're very intelligent, and like they have some sort of intelligent potential, and they're clearly smart. And these would be guys that were very ambitious, that typically had some sort of profession goal in mind, like becoming a doctor, engineer, scientist, lawyer, that type of guy. And I always had that standard for guys that I liked, and I found intelligence very attractive. So for me, in my brain, I thought someone who was intelligent in that way, that would equate to life in general, being intelligent in life, like intelligent with their emotions, or at least have the ability to develop emotional intelligence, social intelligence, things like that. That's kind of how I saw it in my brain. I don't know if anyone else thinks this way, but I always had that kind of standard where like if I thought someone was intelligent in one aspect in life, I thought they would be intelligent in other aspects, including in a relationship and including in life, and that would in turn benefit me and benefit us in the long run if we were to be together. And that's just the way my mind worked it out. And I'm sure other women think like this, and other people that are dating think this way too, where they like intelligent men, they like men who are passionate about something, who have ambition, who have this intelligence. And let me tell you something, I have exclusively and only dated and liked people that were intelligent in some way. And most of these people who are deeply intelligent and hardworking and good in certain subjects and fields in their life are really underdeveloped emotionally, have really had very little experience, and they're very stubborn, and they have big egos because they know they're intelligent. By the way, I'm gonna be doing my eyebrows. I know I never do, but I have this eyebrow pencil, and a staple of Latina makeup is to have very fleeky eyebrows. So here I go, spoolie down. I always thought that intelligent men were attractive and that they had the potential to become intelligent in other aspects of life, like emotional intelligence. But I find that is very rarely the case. I don't know if it's just men in general, or if it's specifically these men that are super well versed in a certain aspect of their life. It's that they did not focus at all on developing that emotional side because they never really had to. Like, younger men are more career driven typically and more focused on achieving tangible achievements that they can then use to attract women when they become older, like their career. They're trying to attract money in some way, they're trying to develop confidence, they're trying to develop muscles, they're trying to develop all these things to attract women. And I feel like the best way for me to describe it is that they're so leveled up in one aspect of their life because that's where they put all their focus to. They weren't encouraged to develop emotionally. They weren't encouraged to develop like very deep friendships and relationships because they're more focused on succeeding academically, succeeding in certain aspects of their life, which is what I think society kind of encourages men to do. They don't encourage them to develop emotionally. They don't encourage them to be vulnerable with people. They don't encourage them to develop these like deep relationships. And I find that very sad, but I find it also very prominent amongst intelligent men that they are not emotionally developed. They don't care to emotionally develop. They're very stubborn, they're very arrogant at times, and they don't ever see the need to change because they're doing so well in a certain aspect of their life, and because of that they already attract people, I think, the way they are, and they don't see the need to change. At least that has been my experience. But I will also put it out there that I was a very insecure, very low self-esteem, young 20-something-year-old. Like, I had no self-confidence, poor self-esteem. I don't want to say I was a pick-me, but I was definitely very heavily reliant on other people to tell me my worth. And so I was looking for these people who I thought were impressive, who I thought were admirable, that I looked up to, these like intelligent men who were doing so well in things that I wish I was doing well in, like certain subjects in school, or I had these ambitions and career goals. And if there were women in my life that I saw that were like that, I respected them and I admired them too along the way. But like when it came to these men, I was like, I saw this quote somewhere where it was like, maybe it was not a quote, but I read something somewhere where it was saying that the reason why we become so attached to people that we date when we have low self-esteem, low self-worth, is because you see something in them that you wish that you had. Because typically people date people that they like certain things about, at least. So that makes sense, right? You date somebody because you like certain aspects about them. You like things that you see in them. And when you lose that person, it's like you're losing all those things that you admired about them, that those things that made you feel like you had more worth. Like whether it be their confidence, whether it be their drive, their ambition, their ability to work hard, whatever it might be. You admire some certain traits about them that you wish you had, and maybe you are lacking in certain aspects in your life that you see that they're thriving in. And I know that sounds a little bit what's the word, morbid. It sounds a little bit like you're jealous of your partner, like you're envious of them, like you want to be them. I think that there's a lot of truth in that, because we date people, or we are with people that we admire. And there's no way you could like someone without admiring certain aspects of them. And when you admire certain aspects of them, you feel like those parts of them make you a better person, make you more worthy in a certain way. And I think when you're not in a healthy place with yourself, when you don't appreciate yourself, when you don't see your worth, you start tying your worth to other people and the traits that they have, and the traits that make you proud about them, and things that you like about them. And you start seeing your worth go up because you're with this person that makes you feel proud. Wow, that got really deep just from me talking about dating intelligent people. I think I and other women and other people, I'm sure men feel this way too, like being with someone who is intelligent, because it validates a certain part of them as well, that an intelligent person also likes them. I don't know if anybody else has this feeling, or if this is an unhealthy way to think, but I think it's nice to have a partner that matches your intelligence as well. Intelligence can be described in so many different ways. I don't want anyone to get offended by me saying this, but I think it's pretty common and pretty self-explanatory. I think it only becomes harmful when you associate intelligence with other kinds of intelligence and automatically assume that makes them intelligent in other aspects, and it makes their word more valued than yours and their opinion more valuable than yours. Because I think the problem with me when I was dating these intelligent but less emotionally intelligent men, I would automatically assume that anything they were saying holds true, and that anything they were saying had more merit to it than what I was saying or my opinion, because I was like, oh well, they're smart and they're doing well in life, so maybe I should listen to what they're saying. Maybe they do know better than me. Maybe I should be more receptive to hearing everything they're saying, and kind of put my thoughts and opinions second, because they're proven to be smart. They have done well in life, and I think that can be really harmful, because then you silence yourself and then you start putting other people's words at a higher standard than yours, and you start only listening to them, and it's just a whole cycle. I have gone through a little too many times where, until I realized that just because they're intelligent, just because they got into Harvard, or they're becoming a doctor, doesn't mean that they're always right. Doesn't mean that I always have to listen to them. It doesn't mean that whatever they want in life, I have to work around it and find a way to fit into their life. I think that's one thing that I messed up with in a lot in my life, is that I'd see these successful people and then I'd assume that they were always right and that they knew what was best for my future, for our future, for what was to come next. And that was a really dumb thing for me. Just because they're intelligent in one aspect of their life doesn't mean they know what's best for you and your relationship, is what I mean. I have dated a lot of intelligent men in my life, and let me tell you, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean they're going to treat you right. That doesn't mean you're going to have a good future with them. That doesn't mean that they know what's best. It's something that needs to be reiterated, that's something that needs to be reminded to young girls, because I think parents, and especially parents that really want their kids to date people that are successful and wealthy, they idolize these people that have these professions and careers, and that in turn makes their kids kind of idolize these people and think they can do no wrong and think they're always right, and try to end up with somebody who is a successful, smart career person. And all I have to say is, use your judgment and you know what's best for you. Number 3, experience does not equal wisdom. And you might think, what do you mean by experience? I mean relationship experience, because I've always thought this misconception was true, where because someone has had more relationship experience, that means they know better than someone with less relationship experience, someone who's experienced less conflict resolution, had less experience with people in relationships. And let me just tell you, that is not true. In my first relationship, my ex would constantly tell me that he knew better than me because he had been in more relationships than me. He had been in, I think it was 6 relationships before he had started to date me, which, okay, let me just put it out there. Don't judge me, guys. I was shook by that number too. 6 relationships. I was like, 6 relationships? We're in our early 20s here. Like, how have you been in 6 relationships? Yeah, anyways. That was my own fault, my own bad. I clearly should have seen that as a red flag. And I remember being like, that is a lot. That is so much more experience than I've had. I have had 0 relationships up until that point, and I was like, okay, well, that's a little concerning, because 6 relationships, how do you even get through 6 girlfriends by the time you're like 23 years old? I don't know, like 1 every half a year. That says something about you, not the girls. But yeah, I went with it. We ended up being together for 2 years, and throughout the entire 2 years, anytime we had a fight, anytime there was a relationship problem, he would always lead the way and say, I know better than you, so you should listen to me. You should stop being crazy. You should stop saying all these things, because I know better than you. I've been in 6 relationships, so I think I know what I'm doing here. And for some reason, that actually worked on me. For some reason, I listened to this guy like he was God. Anything he said went. And guys, that was such a stupid mistake. I don't think you're gonna do the same thing as what I did. I don't assume you guys are gonna make the same mistake I'm gonna make, but if you are and you're able to prevent it, yeah, let me tell you right now, if a guy has been in 6 relationships by the time he is 23, maybe you should run, because how does that even happen? And if a guy's using that argument against you, you should really be careful. Because tell me why you think you have more experience after 6 failed relationships. You definitely have more experience failing relationships than me. That is not something you should be proud about, not something that should be an indicator of you knowing better, you knowing what's best for the relationship. I can't believe I fell for that. But I'm telling you guys, don't fall for that. Don't fall for that ever. Okay, so there you go. Experience does not equal wisdom. Think of some examples. I don't know. I got these crazy lashes on. I'm gonna wait for them to dry and then do my eyeliner and eyeshadow. I'll do my eyeshadow right now, actually. So yeah, I was dating this guy for 2 years and he had done some crazy stuff. Like, look through my phone within the first week of us dating, the first week of us officially being boyfriend and girlfriend. And now I know why he did that, because you know what? He had dating apps still on his phone. He was still, I'm pretty sure he was messaging girls. I didn't check, but I know he had dating apps and I know he was actively using them on his phone while we were together officially within the first 2 to 3 months. And I had found out myself. And you know what is the saddest part about this relationship is that I knew every single red flag and he didn't even try to hide it. He would just convince me or talk me out of it. And he was always honest with me, but only when I had caught him. You know, he never lied to me after I found things out. But I would stay even though I was being disrespected, even though I obviously was not being treated right, even though I was being gaslighted all the time, lied to, manipulated. I stayed through all of that just because this guy was older. This guy was gonna become something with his life. He was intelligent. He was like my first boyfriend. I was trying to make it work really badly, even though he did all these things that were very clearly wrong, very clearly disrespectful to me, only because I thought he had more experience, because he was older, because he was all these things. But this is why I'm making this video now, because I want to say that all these things that you think make a perfect man or a perfect ideal person to be dating doesn't mean anything if they're not a good person, if they don't treat you well. While that may be common sense to some, it is not to all. So I am not one of those people it was common sense to, so I would like to share it with anyone else who hasn't already learned it. Experience does not equal wisdom, and don't let anybody gaslight you into thinking otherwise. Eyeliner time. Okay, step 2 done. Yeah, so which one did I leave off on? Wealth. I don't know about you girls, but I used to watch a lot, and I mean a lot, of K-dramas. And everybody knows what the plot to K-drama is. A poor girl gets saved by rich CEO man who is mean to everyone except them, who has fallen for their quirky, weird, poor girl charm. And I think that this mindset has led to some real issues with a lot of generations of girls. I think nowadays they have K-dramas that are more progressive, that are more like women empowerment, that women don't have to be the poor girl that needs to be saved by this rich CEO man. But I grew up with the era of K-dramas where the poor girl needs to be saved by a rich ass man. And so I need to put in this one specific tip. Wealth does not mean generosity, does not mean they will save you, does not mean they are kind, does not mean that they want to share that with you. Some of the wealthiest people are not generous. And wealthy people stay wealthy for a reason. It is a generational thing. It is built into their ways, built into the way they treat people. There is a saying that it's like, there are no ethical billionaires. There are no billionaires who can be good people and billionaires, because in order to have that much money, somebody has to be suffering for you to succeed in that magnitude, in that way. I think they're very protective over their wealth, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I'm just telling you, anybody who's chasing these really wealthy men better be prepared for a rude awakening, because just because someone is wealthy does not mean that they will be good to you, does not mean that they will provide a good future for you. It doesn't mean that. And it's easy to automatically assume something like that, but it is just not the case. So be careful, protect yourself, and don't ruin yourself over trying to attract and keep a wealthy man and think that they're gonna save you and think that you're automatically these people that are gonna change your life. Because I think that a lot of wealthy people see others as disposable, especially if you're not genuine. And I don't know, I've seen it around a lot. People say wealthy men are not generous, and being wealthy doesn't necessarily mean they're willing to share it with you, does not entitle you to their money either. And I think that is something that a lot of girls need to know, especially ones that are chasing wealthier men. And honestly, if you are doing that, I don't know. I don't judge people, because I know some people are in difficult life situations and they kind of need someone to provide for them, and they look for that for a reason. And I'm not going to judge people, because I'm sure in that life situation that's kind of necessary for you. That's something that you need to do to survive. And I don't think I'm in the right place to judge. Anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. Wealth does not mean generosity. Wealth does not mean a provider man. I personally really like men with a provider mindset, and I think a lot of women who chase wealthy men desire that. But that is just a warning from me and from things I've seen, that wealthy men do not necessarily mean they will provide for you, do not mean that they can care for you, do not mean they want to care for you. They can care for you, but doesn't necessarily mean they want to. I'm gonna try to use this brow pencil as my lip liner. What's another thing I wanted to talk about? This is one that I've noticed a lot, and it's something that I grew up believing too, and believed for a really long time, until I realized recently, after my last relationship, my blow up first relationship, that it is not a good thing. I know that a lot of girls love a guy who is not nice to everybody and only nice to them, and they find that to be like a good thing. To have a man who is not nice to anybody but them. I think every guy I have dated pretty much has fallen under this category. Someone who is only nice to me and not nice to anybody else. And honestly, I think if you like that type of thing, it is influence from media, first of all. That's what I believe. Also, I'm putting on these new Dior lipstick samples that I got. I have not used them. I've had them forever. Dior. And anyways, I have always had an issue with liking guys that treat me well, but treat everybody else not well, because you know what the thing is, I got that influence from media, and I think it's very common, because all girls like this like bad boy stereotype, right? The bad boy who treats them well, who saves them, who is nice to them despite hating everybody else. The problem I find with that is that these type of people, the reason why they're only nice to you and rude to everyone else is because they're only nice to people that can benefit them in some way. And it's something I realized slowly but surely, is that when you don't give these guys what they want, they will turn mean, or they won't be nice to you anymore. They are only nice to you so long as you give them what they want and what they are benefiting from you. So if they're no longer benefiting from you, if you're not giving them what they want, they're not going to be nice to you either. You think they're nice to you because you're special, because you mean something to them, because they love you, or because you're in some way you are different than everyone else. But the truth is, and something that I learned the hard way, and it was a hard lesson to learn, is that these guys that are only nice to you are not nice to you because you're special. They're nice to you because you're a pushover, because you are giving them what other people have said no to, what is totally, honestly, probably very unreasonable for them to ask. I have always been this kind of person that will kind of push my own boundaries to give other people what they want. I will put my needs last because I want to be liked. because I don't like saying no to people. I find it hard to say no to people. And I don't think that's an uncommon thing. I'm a people pleaser. Oh, I think that's so pretty. But anyways, because I had such a hard time saying no to people, I would let these guys push my boundaries. I would let people push my boundaries. I would be available for them whenever they were available. I would, if they asked me for my notes, I would say yes, even though I wanted to say no, because I mean, not because I like them, because I'm just that kind of person. I'm a pushover. I want to say no, but I can't say no because I'm bad at confrontation. I'm bad at being honest when it hurts other people's feelings. You know, they'd be like, can you send me the assignment? And can you, things like that. So I always give people what they want. I'm a giver. You know, I try to give because that's the only way I know to make people like me. I share, I give, and I find it very hard to say no. So obviously, people who are takers, people who are narcissists, people who like to use people are attracted to me, and that is the type of guy I get attracted as well. And whenever these kinds of guys who were only nice to me and mean to everybody else because I was nice to them, because I said yes to them, because I never stood up for myself, because I was available for them whenever they needed me, it's kind of like those kinds of people are only nice to you because you're easy, because you are never going to say no, because you don't have your boundaries, you don't stand up for yourself. They can get whatever they want. I realized shortly after when I was dating my first boyfriend that if I didn't give him what he wanted, if I didn't make things exactly easy for him, like show up at the times that he's available, show up wherever he wanted, do things he wanted to do, plan a future around what he wanted, if I said something that I wanted, that I believed in, and I stood up for myself, he no longer treated me kind. He no longer was caring and loving towards me. He would see me as an annoyance. He would see me as this person who was in the way of his goals and his future. And he no longer treated me nice after that. And I was just like, I was so heartbroken because I finally started to feel confident in myself. I finally started to learn the things I like, the things that I want and need, and I was trying to express them, and I was trying to make our relationship work and better by, you know, standing up for myself, by saying like, actually, I need to make time for myself to do these things, and I can't do exactly what you want me to do, and I have to go to the gym, I have a new job, I have to focus on like planning things for my work and focus my energy on myself, and I want to do these things for me, and in the future I want to live here, I want to do these things. And it was just like, oh my goodness, was the switch flipped like right then and there, and I saw like the true version of him. He treated me so poorly. It was insane, like the way he changed right after my life was coming together, when I was figuring myself out. There was no negotiation. It was like if I didn't give him what he wanted, I was no longer like this perfect person, this kind girl that could give him anything he wanted whenever he wanted, and I wasn't a pushover anymore to him. I was like someone he couldn't control, someone who was just gonna cause him problems and get in the way of his future and the things he wanted, because I was no longer that compliant girl with none of my own goals and my own ambition. Anyways, I think I'm almost done with this look. It's coming together so well. Oh my god, I'm so excited. So I want to urge you guys to think about this. If a guy only treats you well and nobody else, don't take it as a good sign. At least not for me, because I personally, and I'm sure a lot of people, really like someone who's kind, who's gentle, who's sweet, who cares about their feelings. If you having an opinion, if you knowing what you want in life, you knowing your own values and goals and having dreams and making time for yourself and being yourself and knowing your worth is gonna be an annoyance, is gonna make him not kind to you anymore, is gonna make them treat you differently, is gonna affect the relationship in any way, like you speaking up for yourself and you expressing your needs, then realize that someone who is only nice to you when it's convenient for them and when you're giving them everything they want and you never push back on anything they say or need, That's not someone who's really nice and someone who's gonna be nice to you when you disagree on something, when you're not getting exactly what you want. It doesn't make them a good person or a good partner. Somebody who's just nice to you and not nice to anybody else. Even if that makes you feel special in the moment, wake up, because it's most likely not a good sign. For some reason, I feel like something's missing. Like, am I missing contour? Well, I think I know what's missing. I'm not Latina. So no matter what I do, I'm not gonna look. Anyway, what do you think? This is the final makeup look. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know if any of these tips helped or if this was more just like a rant session for me, because these are a lot of things that I wish I knew when I started dating. And I was looking up to these people, admiring these guys that I had crushes on and was excited to go on dates with. And I was like, for me to not see those signs, it's like, for me to look back on it now, it's so frustrating. Myself, and I want to just go back to that time and just go pew, 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 slap myself and say, wake up, girl. What were you thinking? What are you doing? This guy doesn't respect you. This guy is clearly does not appreciate or value you. You need to stop. But at least I can share this with you guys now, and I feel like that at least comforts me, that I can tell somebody else and maybe stop them from making the same mistakes I did, from having these misconceptions that society might teach you. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Bye.